Please start.
Thank you, Pravina, for giving me this opportunity to speak at your forum today. Uh, I'll introduce quickly what I do and what my background has been. I've been an engineer myself and graduated from Bangalore as a BTech engineer, and then I did my master's in IIT Kanpur, and then I went for an executive MBA in IIM Calcutta right now. I've been an edtech entrepreneur for now about 12 years, and my specialization has always been into the field of robotics and AI. We've always wanted to make learning very experiential and hands-on for students. So, with that motive, I started my company, Fun Scholar. And we've been fortunate enough that we have expanded ourselves to more than 4,000 schools across India right now. We work very closely with the central government, state governments, and across country. And just recently, we've developed our own new line of product, which is called Class Map, which focuses on AI-based assessments, which is just completely going to reimagine how assessments and personalized adaptive learning for students can be taking, is being done in the country right now. So I'll just quickly move on to, just start about my entire project today. We are going to speak about reimagining assessments and learning in Indian higher education. What do you mean by reimagining assessments? We've been all doing assessments since we were childhood, right? We all write examinations. The teacher corrects the copies, and then out of that correction of the copies, we get the score, and about that we get the valuation of that how good or how bad we are. But is that the way we're supposed to do the learning journey? And I strongly, oppose that thought that we should not be just evaluated on the basis of the marks. We should be evaluated on the basis of our learning ability and the thought that we've learned about. So, considering these three problems, right? What are the problems in Indian education that we see currently are focusing on these three challenges, right? Why are students not good, or why are not schools able to deliver, or why are not teachers are able to deliver what they want to? Okay. The problem number one, what we feel here is that faculty time is too much stretched, just not in checking the copies, but they're overloaded with the number of classes they're supposed to take. Each teacher is assigned to say about four sections or 160 200 students. For that, she has to take classes, she has to prepare homework, she has to, check their copies, classwork copies, so that by the end of the day, she's exhausted. Exams always dominate the learning outcomes, right? Because the students is pressurized so much that if he does not score well, his reputation is at stake. What are the parents are going to say? What are the peers are going to say? And at the same time, since teachers do not have time, the child is overburdened with examinations or the fear of examinations. There is no feedback loop in the entire process, which creates a crack in the entire system. Okay. In the entire topic, we're going to talk about these three topics only. So let's start off with the subjective assessments, right? The exams that we write today and the classes that we take, right? What happens is that the teachers will check the copies as and when she wants to. She'll give right and wrong, or somewhere in the between, she can give a feedback or a question mark that you missed something. That's all she's able to do it because she has to check 40 copies at the end of the day, right? So ultimately, she does not have time to assess the weaknesses of individual child and understand what is going wrong. And she has to check 160 copies of four different sections, right? And they all needs to be done week on week basis. So she's already overdoing her work, right? And what we've seen in the teachers is that in the morning the teacher's mood is pretty good, so she gives good marks to the students. By the end of the day, she's so tired that she just wants to get done with the homeworks and just do whatever the child does it. So there's no biasness. So I mean, so there is no consistency over the copy that she is checked in the morning or in the evening. Leave apart the feedback, leave apart the analysis of the students' gaps. Nothing can be done. Okay. So post when subjective assessment was the problem and the learning gap analysis was the problem among the students, digital assessments came into the scenario. When we say digital assessments, we have all seen the OMR sheet the students has to fill in. And out of these OMR sheets, the outcome will come in. Now, these OMR sheets, when I'm talking the K-12 perspective, mostly a school can only do once or twice in a year a exam to find out the learning gaps. Okay. Now, these learning gaps will only be determined on the basis of the questions that were asked on that particular day only, and nothing beyond or prior to that. This is where we found a gap wherein the students need to understand the learning gap throughout the journey. How they are doing it, what can be done, what mistake did they do, and how can they do better. So in the current evaluation system, OMR sheet is not working because there's no learning gap analysis for throughout the year. It can only be done say in the middle of the year. And in the written papers, what the teachers are already checking, they cannot take out analysis out of it. They cannot find statistics out of it. They cannot know what percentage of students are facing weaknesses in which topic. Okay. So this is what the assessment does. You take an assessment, the scoring is done, and that's where it stops. The students get the score. The parents just see the score, whether the child has passed or they've done well, if they've excelled in examination. That's all. There's no learning behind it. There's no insight behind it. That why did the child score low? What is that he did not understand? How can he do better? What did he do wrong? So all these things is not being done in our current evaluation system. And that's why we want to cater upon to that particular problem. How can we solve that problem? Okay. Now, feedback matters more than score. I've been speaking about, why there is no feedback, there's no learning gap, because just for example, a child has done a maths problem and he's done it incorrectly. What happens is the teacher in the current state just give a cross, zero. That's all. End. Now, when he goes back home and he tries to reevaluate his copy, he does not know why he did wrong and what could have done it so that his score could have improvised. The only way that he can get his question being answered is either go to a tuition center, speak to his tuition teacher, or again go back to the teacher in the classroom who is already overloaded with work, and keep pressing her that please explain me what have I done wrong. Teacher does not have so much of time to give individual attention. We all know that Indian classrooms are flooded with students. Okay, so practically expecting a teacher to give attention to every student is not possible. That's where the feedback is more important than the score. If the child understood what his problem was, maybe he will not make that mistake again and his scores will improve. So it's completely and directly proportional on why the feedback will matter more. Okay, this is where comes personalization. Since teacher does not have time, okay, and the child can only go to his tuition teacher. And unless and until you give a child a personalized learning, he cannot do well. We all know that every child has a different learning ability. They will all going to learn at a different timing. They're all going to learn at a different speed. They're all going to learn at a different way altogether. But at a school setup, that is not possible. Then how do you track their learnings? How do you understand their gaps? How do you understand that, what should be given to what student? Currently, we are giving same homeworks to all the students, right? But practically, do you think it's the right way to do it? Because every student does not have the same problem. Like if again I take out the maths example, I may be having problem with Pythagoras theorem, but someone else may be facing issue with geometry. Someone else may be facing issue with trigonometry. Then is it fair to give everyone the Pythagoras theorem as homework or their classwork? They need individual attention because they're already good at something and they need improvisation or something else. But teacher is already overloaded. She cannot give it. We'll again come back to the same loop. So the learning becomes very constant. And though teachers have got new age ERPs and tools that they can use, they can do create question papers, but it is very difficult because first of all, teachers do not get proper training. Second, even though get training, they do not have time to understand the tools completely and utilize in day-to-day classes. And third, if one particular tool is solving one problem, second tool is solving the second problem, and they don't talk to each other. So ultimately, school stops using the tools completely. And that's where the personalization takes a fall. And who takes the hit? The students. And this is where understanding the problem that we spoke about, that the limitation of time and gap in personalized assessments and the learning, we feel that it's time for modern assessments now. When I say modern assessment, what can we solve there? We'll have to understand things in pieces. The first problem is teacher has to get some sort of a tool which can create questions based on CBSE or the board's requirement. It could be, case-based study question, database study questions, or it could be, related to, some particular topic. It can be an MCQ questions. It can be, real-time questions. So investing so much of time in creating a questions takes a lot of toll on the teachers because they have to take multiple classes and they're all back-to-back scheduled, right? So the teacher problem has to be resolved, point number one. Second problem comes to the student. When the student is writing an answer, or they are doing their classwork or their homework or the unit test or the block test, those has to be evaluated using some sort of automated system that can reduce the teacher's workload. If teacher's workload is reduced, she can pay more attention in teaching. That's what they do best. Okay. So now while the teacher is teaching, okay, teacher needs to get some insights what she needs to be teaching in the classroom. Because right now, in the current scenario, she will teach the whole chapter. She'll move on to the next chapter. Even after the test, she might, discuss a few questions after the test is over. But understanding which question were the most problematic question, which part of the topic were the most difficult for the students, which needs more attention. Probably geometry needs more attention, or trigonometry needs more attention. The teacher can follow that particular instruction, but that data or insight, that strategy needs to be given to the teachers. Okay. This is where I introduce class map. We have done completely rethinking of the assessments. Automatic grading. That means handwritten answers will now be evaluated using AI. Evaluation and grading is done, and it is done on basis of the rubrics the CBSE gives or the school answers or school solution the school gives. It is so accurate that you will feel that a human is checking it. Feedback. The system gives feedback of every answer the child writes. Wherever the child is wrong or wherever he is making a mistake, the system will give a feedback that this is how you went wrong. This is where you can do better. And the last comes personalized adaptive learning, wherein understanding that this particular student has a gap in say trigonometry and algebra, so we should be focusing on these two topics only. So his set of questions or worksheets will be completely different from someone else's. And just not questions. The system is so intelligent that it will gauge the student's performance basis on the score, their prior results, and according to that, it will create questions of its level. As the student progresses month on month, the questionnaires difficulty levels also increases, which understands the whole systems completely. And this feedback loop of the student's performance is always shared with the teachers and at the end of the day to the principal. So I'm just redoing what I said. We read handwritten answers, we apply logics to the responses, we highlight the missing points and partial understanding of the students, and at the end of the day, it reduces time and effort of the teachers. Now, supposingly that a geometry problem is given, okay, and there is a logical gap of a student. The student has done half portion correctly, and he's done half portion incorrectly. According to a teacher, he or she should be awarded half marks. The system will give a half marks there, but at the same time, it will discuss why the half marks was deducted. Where can he do better so that this half marks can not be deducted in the next time? Now, this feedback loop becomes so important for the student that at the end of the day, he does not look at his score, he look at his feedback. So his perception of understanding completely changes. His learning ability changes. So this is how we do it. We take the exams, we identify the gaps of the individual students and individual classes, and then we generate reports. And then we generate worksheets on individualized levels for practice sessions. And these worksheets are so customized on case-based studies or database studies that student actually has to use his head, or use online tools to research, to study on his books, and then come out to a conclusion. Questions are always relatable to his real life problems. So whenever he's understanding a particular maths problem, he's not looking at just solve this and what is the equation of this. No, we'll always give in a scenario that suppose this is an X building and this is the length and this is the breadth of a building. You have to measure this, and giving a case-based question makes a student think about that particular problem much more in detail. So it's actually understanding maths other than learning maths, or just mugging up the formulas and putting up in the solution keys. He's not doing that anymore. Okay. Now I'll just quickly brief you on the uh, outcome that we give. Okay. So this is the kind of report that we give it to the students. Okay. Now, if I zoom it a little bit, you can see here this particular student is a what are the areas of improvement? Quadratic equations, analytical problems, which which particular question he was facing issues, properties of tangent in question number 7, logical reasoning of cost variations, basic proportionality theorem. These are the problems where he did wrong. Okay. Again, calculation mistake, linear equation in two variables, he did wrong. Solving systems of equations, he did calculation mistake, and areas of triangle. So the teacher exactly know what are the areas of improvement of this particular child, and then we get an individualized course, right? Now this is an IB board paper that I'm showing you here. So there's a marking criteria slightly different, that they give in a B, C, D format, and they have levels across and the point that they have scored. Now at every question you can see here that we have levels given and feedback given. Okay. So supposingly question number 1 to 20 were MCQ questions. So you can just see that option A is incorrect option selected. The child must have selected the incorrect option. Okay. In certain question, we can see feedback as well, that is given in a detailed manner, right? That this is the thing that the child wrote matches the requirement of the correct quadratic equation for the area of the swimming pool. So in this way, the child exactly knows what he's doing right, and in the cases he can do wrong as well. So C is equal to 3 matches the requirement for the finding. One correct unknown value was there, right? And A is equal to 60 and B is equal to 400 are incorrect based on the model solutions. A is equal to 6 and B is equal to 400. And the explanation of cost is change is incomplete and lacks the required reasoning to reach higher levels. So at every step, the child exactly knows what needs to be done. Missing the second equation, x plus y is equal to 450, and correct solution is this. In this way, the child exactly can see his entire paper and see how much he has scored. This is the actual written answer sheet which I'm going to show you right now. Yes. So you can see here, this is an actual answer sheets here, handwritten answer sheets. And at the same time, you can see the teacher had also checked it and our system had also checked it. We both did wrong. And annotation also comes in at every paper, that what did child do wrong? What is that he can do better? Right? And if this is the correct option, this is the right answer, what he can do right. So ticks, question marks, everything can come in place. Okay. At this thing, the teachers can never do it by giving individual feedback. And now this soft copy report can always be shared with the students. We all also understand, say, this particular part here, right? That in this particular question, the teacher had given 4-3, but the system gave 1-1 because there are certain part which teacher had missed understanding it, and it had actually corrected those part and given a correct thing that how it should be done correctly. We also analyze graphs, statistics, written answers. Everything can be calculated. So the next time when you see something that you need a support on getting the papers right, finding the learning gaps, giving personalized report, you should always approach us. Class map is the solution which we are going forward. We are working with several state government institutions across, and we're looking forward to talk to you sometime and discuss how we can do it in your school as well. Pravina, this wraps up my thing, and if you have any questions, you can discuss those questions now.
Yes, Mr. Jain, if you can stop sharing your screen, please. Thank you. So I have received a couple of questions, from the principals and a couple of teachers. Though they couldn't attend this session, they've sent me these questions. The first question is, how does Class Maps AI handle different handwriting styles and quality?
Okay. So we have trained our AI on more than 10,000 answer scripts of various handwriting of various geographies. And we have trained in such more detailed manner that now it can analyze the most dirtiest and unclear handwriting to the most beautiful handwriting of any languages as well. Currently, we are focusing on English and Hindi. Other languages are also state languages will also come in very soon.
Okay. So, how does the system ensure grading accuracy compared to human teachers?
Thank you for asking this question. So, we've been checking copies from now about 18 months, and after checking 10,000 odd copies, our accuracy rate stands somewhere between 95 to 96%. And our accuracy also depends on the solution key given by the teachers or on the rubrics given by the systems or the institution. If the rubrics are detailed, then the accuracy is fairly very much closer to the teacher. If the rubrics is not given, we give a variance of 5% from teacher to teacher, which is a normal variance if even if the two teacher is copying the is checking the copies.
Okay. So, what technology stack powers Class Maps AI engine?
So we use multi language model. So we just won't use a single LLM. We use multi LLMs of across platforms. And then out of that, we have built our own SLM, which is a small language model, and which upon which we train our system very, very closely on certain parameters, depending upon the institution. So if we're focusing on K-12, we designed the SLM on K-12 only. We also do it for institutions, for colleges, and for coaching centers also. And for every system, we design their own SLM based on their problems and the way they, look at their question papers or they look at their answer sheets. If they have different rubric, if they have different pattern. So for every one of them, we design a different system to achieve accuracy.
So, when it comes to teachers, Mr. Gaurav, how much time does Class Map save teachers weekly?
On an average, a teacher spends about 1 hour to 2 hours per day in checking the homeworks and the classworks copies. And over the period of the year, in 1 week, we say about 10 to 12 hours and an average. And during the exam season, we save about, mm, if not less, about 100 hours of teacher's time because she checks about, multiple copies throughout the week. And that can be completely automated using the system. So over the year, we usually save about 300 hours or 400 hours of a teacher's time.
Wow. So, what is the accuracy, sir? What is the accuracy rate of this AI grading system?
Accuracy is 95%. And when I say 95%, I am saying in comparison to a teacher. So, you know, usually marks is also sometimes about perception. how do you perceive an answer the child has written? So from a perception to perception, the score will differ. If you are checking a copy, so you might feel that out of five, you should be giving three. And according to me, I should be giving 3.5 or four. So that's a perception difference that we see. And across the entire, 80 marks or 100 marks, these half marks accumulate to say about 5 or 6 marks. And that's why the difference comes in of, 5 to 6% difference, which we see a good variance and an average variance that we should be having in all the copies across. And that's an acceptable norm.
Mhm. Coming to the feedback, you have discussed the feedback. So, how do the students respond to this AI generated feedback versus teachers' feedback? Because there is a human touch.
Good. So in the current scenario, Pravina, there is no feedback given by the teachers in the detailed manner. So
Right.
as I showed you, the teacher can just give a question mark and just put a cross, they can put a zero. So there's no possibility that the teacher can write individual answers or individual scripts or what did you do wrong. That's not possible. Okay. But with our system, you can get that thing done. And the only way the child can get a feedback in a real time physically, if he can take his copy every time to the teacher.
Yeah.
But we all know that all students do not go to the teacher. They either feel shy or they are scared or they are lethargic. They don't want to go. They want to discuss the paper and they sit back at home. So there's no feedback loop or mechanism that happens. Out of entire class of 40, probably 4 or 5 students can go and talk to the teachers and ask for a resolution or a solution and understand what they did wrong. But with our system, everyone can get a feedback and that at home they can understand. And more than the child, the parent can understand what my child is doing wrong and how can I improvise that. That changes the story of learning.
So, how many schools have implemented your program, and what measurable improvements have schools seen in student performance using your?
So currently, 25 schools are using our platform right now.
Mhm.
And on an average, the school is seeing a 20% rise in their academics performance after the feedback has come in. Every student is on minimum scoring 20% better than they were doing prior to our class map. Plus, the parents and the students are far more happier understanding why they did wrong and how can they do better. Now it has become so intensive that now once the teacher is checking the paper, the students demand, please kindly check the papers using our class map tool so then we can get an individualized feedback and we can understand why, and how can we do better. So the
That's nice.
schools are really liking our product and they are till now we were focusing on the higher standards of class 9 and 11. Now the schools are wanting to implement for the whole school starting from class 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is the timeline, Mr. Gaurav? What is the typical implementation timeline for a school?
So implementation time is less than a week.
Mhm.
So a school would want, and they can take a pilot from us. They can run a pilot program for a week or two. Once they're happy with the pilot program and they understand the systems are working fine and the teachers are happy to use it, they can implement immediately post after that. Our implementation time is less than a week, and we can give an handover of that. And then post that also our team is completely helping the teachers in hand holding and helping the teachers to use the tool to the maximum.
Okay, so teachers get trained is what you are saying. So, what do they require to get trained? Means like what training do teachers require to
So
use
teacher
this
training is
platform?
very simpler. So we have kept our tool keeping in mind that everyone is not technological savvy. They're not very technologically strong. So we
Mhm.
have kept our application to the minimum. They're very minimized button, only minimum tools that they have to use there. So training does not take more than 1 hour or 2 hour. It's a one-time training the teacher has to take. And post that we can do another session after 6 months just for a review session. But as our feedback has gone in, we have done piloting more than 55 schools right now, and all the school teachers who have got the training has never asked for training again. They say that the tool is self-sufficient, self-explanatory, and they can do most of the thing by themselves.
Okay, how about the integration with this with the existing school ERP systems?
So currently we do not integrate our system with the ERP systems as of now. We keep
Mhm.
it separate. But if the school insists, we'll have to talk to the ERP vendor who is there, and then we have to cross share our APIs, which is doable, but it is a customizing option that the school has to opt for.
So, because of the time constraint, I need to rush up. How does class map align with the NEP 2020 guidelines?
Thank you for asking this question. NEP 2020 guidelines suggested a few things which were not being mandated in the change. Okay? Like supposingly, question was supposed to be asked in PS-based studies or database studies. Question had to be asked. The teachers could not do it because of the limitations of the tools. Our system does that. NEP 2020 suggested that hands-on learning, experiential learning, and also personalized learning should be given more energy. But with the schools again constraints of limitations of resources, they never could do that. But with our systems, they will be able to adapt, do personalized adaptive learning, and can give attention to every student. And also in the later stages, we'll implement content which is so customized that they can learn any topic right from our system itself at their weakest topics. So even that will be also rolled out very soon.
Great. So, talking about your journey, can you talk about your journey? What are the biggest challenges in getting schools to adapt AI assessment system?
Okay. So the biggest challenge that we had was the hindrance to use an AI tool. Okay. So everyone was scared and the teachers were skeptical that their jobs will go away if the AI gets implemented. That's the most serious thing that most teachers are scared of. If AI start checking the papers, what will the teachers do? So to make them understand that the AI is just an assistant and is just going to be a helper to the teacher, not a replacement. Explaining that it was always a challenge. But now with the thing that is moving on and they're seeing that AI is just being an helper there, the schools and the teachers are happily adapting our systems.
That's a very good thing. So,
Thank you.
last question, but not the least, how can ClassMap expand beyond K-12 to higher education institutions?
So as I mentioned that we're already working with CA institutes, we're working with JE institutes, and across all platforms we're working with the Law University. So since our tool is not limited just to K-12, our tool is multi-dimensional. It is it is a tool that can understand handwritten answers and can grade it automatically. So we can always expand to colleges and institution engineering level at any point of time. So if we get an opportunity, we'll also be looking to go international market to explore the possibilities to work there as well.
Great. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk, Mr. Gaurav, and for
Thank you.
patiently answering all the questions. And I thank the teachers or educators who sent these questions, though their physical presence was not there in the session. And before I end the session, anything else you want to mention, sir?
I just want to say that if they are looking to just try out the product and understand it, they can always log on to classmap.in and they can always reach out to me. I can take personal sessions with them to understand how we can implement it in their school and how will it be beneficial for them. So I'm always open to learning and always open for customization. So waiting for them to come back and have a talk with me.
I'm sure they will. Thank you one more time. I'll
Thank
end
you
the
so
session
much.
now.